Hello, I'm Minki Kim. I'm so happy to be here to show you how to make this cute backpack using my upcoming collection, Sunsetridge. It is 1 yard of fabric, panel, and with this 1 yard you can make 2 backpacks, and I will show you how it is easy to make your own backpack. Let's get started. First, what you need to do is cut out the fabrics, but be careful. Do not cut along the line because we are going to quilt and you need a little bit of room to quilt. So I recommend to use this line to cut, and this binding you can use this as it is showing, but these are the side panel, so do not use along this line. I recommend to give a little bit of room around it as possible, because we're gonna quilt and trim it. So once you cut the fabrics and lay on the one side the fusible foam, I highly recommend to use one side the fusible foam, because if you use not fusible, while you're quilting, the fabric can shift a little bit, and then size can be a little bit different. So for the accurate way, I highly recommend it. But if you don't have the single-sided fusible foam, you can use a fabric spray, and it will be helpful. So what I do is cut out the fabric and lay like this. And this, as you see, I didn't cut along this line. I cut a little, try to cut as far as possible. And this is the foam bedding. You lay like this, and then fuse. But when you fuse it, this is one side fusible, it may stick something on your iron. So to prevent, I recommend to put some fabric scraps to cover this fusible side, and with your iron you just fuse like this. That way it will stick. And then on the other side, once you fuse it, with the fabric right side out, so wrong side attach it to the foam, the back of your panel, the foam. You make like this, and then quilt, press and then quilt. I will show how it will look. It will look like this. So the size of the foam, it doesn't have to be like a square or rectangle. Just arrange your fabric scraps on the foam bedding, and then you cut as much as you need. I will show how I use this diagonal quilting line. Once you press and fuse the fabrics using your big ruler, as this is the same white background fabric, so you can use the same color fabric. But when I quilt this line, this is the different colors. I change the thread. But for this, it's just so much easier to quilt all 3 different panels at once. So what I do is just to draw a crisscross line from here like that. And when you do the second line, make sure the angle is 45 degrees. So this line matches the previous line. Otherwise, you have to do like this, and then you have to. It's not going to be a rectangle. It's a personal preference, but I like this way. And when you finish the quilting line, it is more prettier. So this is how I do. You can use the bamboo Hera marker, but my personal preference is using this just a simple guideline with the fabric pen. So go to your sewing machine. From the center, always when you quilt, from the center, and then grow from the outward to outward. So what I do is set your stitch length a little bigger than your normal stitch length. Mine is 350 now. I just stitched the first line, and then from the second line, I use this seam guide bar. You turn like this, and with this, you decide how much, how big is your quilting line. So I do like this, about 3/4 inch. So my second line, using this your first center line is your guide, and then your seam guide gonna be like here, and then you just try to match this line when you do the second line like this. I just finished the quilting. It will look like this, and then the back will be like this. So the thing you need to remember is try to stitch all the edges that catches, because we're gonna trim along this drawn line, so you don't want it to move. So make sure stitch all the ends like this, like this. That's the part you should remember. So now, once you've done all the quilting the panel, and it's time to cut along all the lines. I show you my first white print, and then I will show you how I did with the second one, the green one. So you can lay whatever your foam size is. I would do like this, and quilt it, and then cut. So this is the line, your quilted line. And what I did is, this is all green, so I quilted all this with the same thread, and I leave it like this, and then follow this line already, because if it is already the gingham print, and I didn't want to have the diagonal line because it will be too much. So it's my personal preference and the tip to share. And after you're done quilting, and it will look like this, and using your scissors and rotary cutter, cut out the shape, and let's do it. What I like to do is with this line, this is very important, you should remember. First, you cut out the shape. I will match the second panel, because one is the front and one is the back, and you don't want two shape is different. But because of the process of quilting, fabric may a little shifted, or because of your machine, so it may a little bit different. So always, first you finish your quilting and cut out the shape. Do not cut this shape like this. I recommend to measure if it is all same. Especially, you want this line is matching. You don't want one is round and one is less round. You want equal shape. So I would put it like this, and make sure. And as you see, when I match this bottom straight line here, and when you see, what I found is this line is a little smaller. So do not just cut. Measure and make sure. You see, there's a difference, right? But it's don't worry, don't panic, because it's gonna be your seam, so it's not showing. Just to make sure this line is, when you fold it like this, it's equal. That's very important, you have to remember. Otherwise, your back shape like not pretty as you hoped. So this is the tip I emphasize. Okay, what I did, again, always make double check before you cut, because once you cut, there's no way you can go back. So what I wanna double check the mark, the round is equal. Okay, and this is the difference is less than a quarter inch. So do not worry if it comes like this. So what I do is, using your ruler and rotary cutter, try cut the straight line like this. And then using your ruler, your rotary cutter, and your scissor, cut out the shape. And as you see, before you cut any shape, I already stitched it here. If you didn't, your quilting line is not stitched, make sure to stitch. That way, all the layers stay together. And here, using your scissor, cut along the second line. I cut this shape, and this is, once you cut up, then it will look like this. So this is extra. So make sure you only need bottom panel, and zipper panel. Do not worry about this panel, it's an extra, okay? So you just trim here and trim here, it will look like this. And this is the zipper panel. So this is a front, back, or back and front. And this is your bottom panel, and this is your zipper panel. What you need to do is make your ruler somewhere like this and trim. And so my tip, and it's very important to remember, once you quilted, fabric kind of a shape I said already, so when you put the rotary cutter here, some is over and some is under. So I would decide in the middle, okay? So it's not too big or it's too small. I put like this. It's a little, like a very small part, but to make it accurately, I would do that. And so we are done. Here's the line to use your rotary cutter and ruler. Trim, oops, trim here. And do not worry if you, while you trim it, you cut too much, a little too much or too less. Your bag, finished bag is a little less deep, so it's not a big deal, okay? So like this. So I cut like this much, so do not panic if it happened to you. Okay, we are done with making the panel. Now it's time to, I will show you how to make this pocket. We're gonna make the pocket. For the pocket, it's so easy. You don't need to quilt anything. So I will, while we making the pocket, I will make this set aside. So you're making the panel, done. Step 2 is making the pocket. So this is the pocket fabric. So choose your lining fabric. So I recommend to fuse with fusible interfacing because that makes your pocket fabric a little sturdy. But you don't want to quilt the pocket because then it will be too much. So fuse your pocket fabric on the wrong side. And then this one, what I use is a Pellon SF101, but you can use whatever is better around you. So with the right side together, like this. There. Oh, okay, before that. So what I do is, you can tell I cut the pocket fabric a little bigger than what the line is, because that way you have more room to play and then fuse. So what I do is put two fabrics together, and then like this. So the lining fabric of the pocket is just cut as the same as this. And then you just give a little bit of a room. That way you have more room when you need to trim and stitch it. Okay, put the ruler like this. Okay. With the right side facing, lining fabric on top of your pocket fabric, and stitch it with a 1/4 inch seam with a straight top edge. So you stitch the lining fabric together, and it will look like this. And then you want to press. I want to move this away. And press. So now your lining is sturdy enough, but you want to pretend you stitch the binding even though it is already in the print. So I'm helping you and saving you time attaching your binding. Okay, so I would like to top stitch it with about 1/8 inch seam. And this line too, that way it looks like you attach the binding. Done. This is why I cut the lining a little bigger. That way your stitches start from away, right? Then you cut it up and it'll be all clean. So that is the tip I want to share with you. And this is my label. What I do like to do is I want to put on the center. And if you have this is a print you don't want to cover, then I use the small label on the corner and then stitch it with the same color thread and then stitch it like this. That way it looks like you did more work, right? Make the pocket and the binding and the labels, but it's all printed. And the secret you don't want to share with anybody. Okay, I eyeball it usually, but to make sure, what I do is let's check it's in the center. Okay, put it like here, like this. It's not a little center. I will do it like this. This is my trick. Okay, what I do. And I will show you how I stitch the label. Very end about this much. Start to stitch like this. stop and then turn. And back stitch when you're done. So it will look like, or if you make the other bag, it will look like this. It will look like this. So as you see, using your ruler along the line on the print, trim, and then just trim the bottom, okay? Do not this trim yet because you wanna match it with your front panel. Oh, okay. So this is it looks pretty too. If you can try, you can do this. But this one is my original plan. So I wanna do like this. You match the bottom straight line together. Okay. And then you match it make on the center, and you see the size is different because when it quilt, its size is a little shrink because of the foam bedding and the lining, right? And this one was not quilted, so it is the size. So we need to trim. What I do is, I would do using your binding clip. So align the bottom straight line is your guide. And then leave this one to put it like this, put it like this, and turn like this. Then you know I would do from here with a 1/4 inch seam. You base the stitch. So this is the difference, right? So don't worry. Turn the wrong side, right, lining side on top, and then this is your guide. So trim your pocket fabric like this. And trim here. And now you're done. Now you are done with the front with the pocket. And let's make the zipper panel. So this is your zipper panel. We need to attach the binding, but in the panel, the binding is not, the zipper panel binding is not included. This binding is for your bag inside. So get any matching color binding fabric you have. I recommend to use the same fabric with your lining or any matching, like the same color of green or any color that is in the fabric. Okay, or stripe, whatever it's available. So I recommend to use any color print you have around that is in the print. So I got this fabric, and then this is the binding. How you cut your binding, zipper panel binding is, this is 2 inch and half, and the size is a little longer than your zipper panel. So you cut like this, and you need 2, and then with the right side together, press in half. So it's a double fold binding. So do not need to bias a cut. So you have 2. One goes here. The raw edge along this long line you make like this and stitch all through the raw edges. Okay, I changed the stitch length. Before it was too wide, so it is my 2.5 stitch length. I'm stitching along this line. And with your finger, I just put it, make a wall so it doesn't go over. So you're done, and then repeat and make 2. So and then press like this, and you wanna cover the raw edges. And if you have any fabric glue, I will apply on here. Then it will be easy to attach the binding. But for this case, I will just skip it. Okay. And press is always easy. Make help. So by this way, you cover with your folded binding edges, you covered all raw edges, and it will look like this, and stitch on top. So it's just stitch in the ditch. You just stitch it right under the binding seam line, and make. I recommend to change your thread if you have the matches. So like this, right under the binding. Now done, and then you trim off. And repeat with your second binding and the zipper panel, and repeat the step, and you make 2. And then attach the zipper. The finish will look like this. I want to show how I attach my zipper. So here's the zipper. I recommend to use number 5 zipper, which has wider teeth and wider zipper tape. So it is easier to work with. And I use the double slide zipper. You don't have to use it. It's my personal preference. So what I use, I recommend to use a longer zipper that is longer, easier to work with, and you just trim up the excess zipper tape. So you put the zipper tape right under the binding edge, and when you put like this, it has the kind of locking. It doesn't go over. That way it's easier. And with the binding, it will cover your zipper tape. That's how I stitch my zippers. Okay, I will show you like this. With your right hand, hold your zipper. With your left hand, hold the zipper panel, and then it groups together like a puzzle. It doesn't go away because of the zipper teeth and the binding folded edges. It's like this, right? So just hold like this, and we stitch like this right under the binding edges like we did before, and slowly like this. You stitch it, make sure you stitch the zipper, stitch in the ditch, right under the binding edge, not on top of. But if you want, it's okay. It's my personal preference. And you stitch when you stitch the second zipper panel, make sure they aligned. So let's say you have a zipper panel, you made the second panel, and then when you stitch it, you have to make sure they are aligned, not like this or like this, right? Then try to make it as even as possible. Okay, and then align well, and stitch your second one as the same we did before, and then it will look like this. I'll put this away. So then it will look like this. So, and then with your utility scissor, trim off your zipper like this, zipper tape like this. So if you stitch it a second zipper panel, if one of your zipper panel is a little over and a little short and you have to trim some, do not panic, it's okay. If it's within like a 1/4 inch seam, doesn't hurt much. So just keep doing it, okay? And I want you to enjoy making whole the process. Do not panic because there's always room to make change and adjust, okay? Let's do the second part. And this is we are making a back tube, side back tube. So it will be look like this. So before we trim the bottom panel, and this is a zipper panel we just finished. With the right side together, we're gonna stitch it and stitch it together to make like a tube shape. To do that, you put bottom panel, align one line, and you will see this part is different. You just need to trim it, okay? So what I do is you put your thing here. You put bottom panel on top of zipper panel, and you see this the difference. Because I gave you more room, it changes, it depends on the zipper you use and then how wide you attach your zipper. So your zipper panel, everybody's size will be different. So you just need to finish your zipper panel and then trim it later. And in your trim guide is your bottom panel. Just to make sure your zipper panel width is the same as your bottom panel. So mine is like this. So with your ruler, put it here. Okay, I will use the bigger ruler. Okay, I put this much. So it's about quarter inch seam you need to trim off. So one of your zipper panel side is a little wide, a 1/4 inch wider than the other. Or you can use trim off both way, but I would do this way, it is easier. And I will show you why. Trim up the 1/4. Okay, this is your back. This side is a little wider and this is a little shorter. And when you hold like this, and it's easier to open and find things when it's a little narrower. So this fat part will go to the back side, and this short part, like a little 1/4 inch seam, 1/4 inch short part, gonna be on the front. Okay, make sure so you don't miss. I would mark like front. It's not necessary, but okay. So let's go to the next step. With the right side together, put your the bottom panel on top of your zipper panel, and there is the binding. So here's the binding. You trim it in the center, like this, and put with the right side down, right side down, put it like this. I made it a little longer, that way it's easier to stitch. So it is a little left over on both edges. And then with the 1/4 inch seam, you stitch the layer through the short raw edges. And this way, you put with your fingernail, you press like this, and then fold press and then fold like this to cover, and then with a 1/4 inch seam. And it will look like this. And then you repeat the same step with the right side together. And with the leftover binding strip, right side down, put on the center, and stitch. Now we're done with the back tube. It's gonna be your gusset. Okay, now we wanna attach the binding on your back panel and front panel. So this is a binding we're gonna use. It's a bias cut because it's around the curved edges. And there's gonna be one left over. You can save it for your other project. I gave you just extra bias binding. Okay. What I like to do is attach the binding on the lining side. This is a bias cut, one of the binding, this one. And with the right side down on the lining, from the bottom, this is the bottom, fold about 1/4 inch like this. And then start from the center. Like this. I do not pin all the things. I just start from here. Okay, what I do is just start from here, attach the binding. When you do the curve, just make sure do not stretch your fabric, and then make it flat. That will be all easier. And then go like this. When you keep doing it, you stitch all the way around like this, and then you stitch over and trim off the leftover. And it will look like this. And what I do pin like this because for next step, we're gonna assemble this panel and the zipper panel together. Then you don't want this binding edge on the way. So to move it, keep it from away, so I pin. So make sure pin it, otherwise you have to stitch again. Okay, and then as you see, this one stitched. So this, where is the, here and here. This is for your red, your white backpack. This is for your green backpack. So we are making D-ring tabs. You cut, and then press in half. Let's show you. Press in half, and again. It's like a. This is how you make the D-ring tab. So with the matching thread, I didn't change it, but I recommend to change the thread that matches. Stitch both ends. And then repeat with the other one and make 2. And this is a 1-inch D-ring. You just slide in like this and clip. Slide in and clip. And this is make sure you attach your D-ring tab on your back panel, not front. Okay, so this is your back panel. This is your back panel here. So you stitch, I would, it doesn't have to, but I would do like a 1 inch, like this. Like this, okay? And your D-ring plus tab, put it here. I stitch it like this. Oh no, I stitch it like this. You don't have to. You just can do this, or this. Just a slightly like a turn like this. And then I found out it is better if your D-ring tab is short than long. Like if it's too long, it's not sturdy, or your the strap is moving like flapping. So you don't like that. So I want to make it sure like this. So 1 inch mark is here. Okay, do not go lower than the 1 inch. Then it'll be too low. So I will stitch like this. And make sure stitch it over for the strength. That way it's more strong. Okay, and do it again. Repeat the same step, and it will look like this. And then your binding is done. And then for your front back panel, with the same bias in the panel, and then you attach the binding or the same way like this and pin. And then you are ready for the front and back, and then the zipper side panel. Then it is the last step is just assemble them together. So, okay, assemble them together. So what I do is put your back panel. Doesn't matter. You do the front and the side together or back together. Doesn't matter. Just do whatever you want to. So I would like to do with the back panel and your zip-up tube. So how I mark the center is you fold the binding edges like this, and then fold in half, and you find the center here, and mark here. And then here. So we find the center mark here and here. And then here, you just fold. It has fold in half, and then mark the top and bottom. This is the top, fold in half. This is the bottom center. So matching the mark, center mark. So this is the top, right? And this is the top. Just stitch it together like this. So right side together. Make sure they are right side together. Oh, this is the front, so I have to do this one. This is matching center mark and center mark, right side together. And then with your large of a binding clip, pin them together like this. Like this. What I do is, instead of doing it like this, I do center and then mark a couple binding clips, and then do the other way. like this, and then the remaining part stitch like this. Ta-da! Now we need to stitch all the way around. But before you go back to the sewing machine, I make sure you leave an inch opening, because we're gonna slide through this webbing. So you need this much of a gap. So what I do is, I used 1 inch wide cotton webbing. So this is an inch from the center, okay? Here's the center. From the center, this is an inch, okay? And this is an inch. So 2 inches, right? You mark the inch mark from the center, 1 inch, 1 inch. This is for the webbing. So you do not stitch it this much, okay? So from here and here, this is gonna be just open, unstitched. That is the really important thing you read. I mean, you can unpick later, but okay, from the bottom, let's just start stitching. Make sure your all raw edges are lined. And with a 1/4 inch seam, start sewing all the layers together. Make sure with your right hand, make sure push it like that. They are all aligned like this, and then stitch. And if it's not perfect, do not worry, because you can always stitch again until you are happy. So what I do is use your right finger press like this, and then stop. When it's curved, just stop it and just adjust your curve nicely so all the lines are together. That way, when you finish the bag, it's nice and look almost perfect, like this. And here's the D-ring part. Make sure the D-ring is away from your sewing machine. Otherwise, you're gonna you break your needle. Okay. And then you see, with my other hand, the left hand, I just pulled, so prevent it coming from the other way. So I pull this panel with your left hand, so it stays on the line. That's my tip. And stitch over. So before you go to the next step, I always check like this. If it's even, if you are happy, if all the edges are round and smooth. And if you are not happy, and you can do stitch again like this and check. Before you finish the binding, I think I'm happy with this. Okay. And then before you start stitching the front, I wanna attach the webbing. So here's the webbing. I used like a 40-inch webbing. Depends on how tall you are. So mine is a 40-inch. And then what I did is slide in this slider and slide in like this, and fold the right and stitch the rectangle shape with the matching thread, so you don't want to show up other thread showing coming on your webbing. So I stitch many times around it to secure. You know, it's a backpack shoulder strip, so you don't want to come apart. So this is the one thing, and you need to make two because you need two. So once you did, make sure this folded edge part is on top, and then with this end of the webbing, slide through your D-ring. Make sure it's not twisted, and then with the raw end, go like this, and then go like this. It's easy, right? And then you can do like this. And then the end will go in between that we didn't stitch it. This is how easy to attach your webbing. So I'm gonna put it a little over, not like this, because you wanna have a little room to play. So put it here and then pin. With the same manner, you do the remaining strap. So with this on top, pin and pin, then we stitch. But what I found out through this process, okay, I will show you. When I stitch back panel, it kind of, I don't know how to say, it's not stay nice and flat. So I want to share my tip through my failure, my mistake. I want to stitch this backpack a little bit diagonally like this, okay? Then your backpack will be better than my backpack, like this. And this. That is my tip to share. So it's okay to stay like this, but after I stitch, I will show you the difference. Okay, go back to the sewing machine. You wanna make it strong. So what I do is, here's the 1/4 inch seam. It's over, 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 like this. Then you don't need to worry about, pulling, right? And then this one, just to trim it off. You're done. And this is, and take off your binding. No, take off your pin, and then this the bias. You fold and fold again, and cover all the raw edges like this, and then pin. Pin. All the way around, and then I personally like to hand stitch, but if you want to make a lot to give your friend, it's okay to top stitch with the sewing machine. So I will show you how is the finished inside. It will look like this. Isn't it pretty? Yes. So once you're done with this part, and with the same manner, you mark the center on the front like this we did before, mark, and matching the mark, and make sure right side together. So all the lining side is showing when you pin and assemble. So assemble like this, matching the center mark we did. And then bind. Oh, and then this is gonna be the same like we bias binding like I said before. So we assemble like the same manner I did with this back panel and the binding, and you are done. So once you did, it will look like this, and then you just turn it out over. And I will share my pressing tip. So to make your bag nice and shape, I would put something, some like a hand towel, whatever the fluffy thing, shape it, and then to make shape so it's looks nicer. I just put whatever stuff you have in. I use the hand towels and put it like this, and with hot steam and iron you press like this, and on this side like this you make it flat like this, no, and then press, and then here like press like this all the way around. The round edge also you make it put it like this and press. That way your bag looks very nice and then stay overnight. Set it like that, and overnight it looks nice. And then when you're done, and then you make second bag. That's how I did. And these are the leftover element from the panel. So do not waste. You save it for your other project here and here. And I cut this small side. It's about what size? About 2¼ inch. And with the wool felt, I use it just to stitch all around and then leave an opening. And I use poly fiber, and then hand stitch the clothes. And this is a little thingy for your backpack for charm, and I made the big one. So this is how I made my lachi pole backpack. The pattern is available in my shop, sewingillustration.com. So you can use either this panel that comes with the Sunsetridge, or you can use my pattern and then with other fabric, and you make a lot make backpack of your choice. So I hope you enjoy making this backpack with me. Thank you. I hope to see you soon again.